Well, hey there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
And I'm Rikki.
And we're missing Candice this week, but she will be joining us next week. Have no fear. She's just enjoying a week off.
Yes, having her best life.
She's living her best life right now. Exactly. But we are in the middle of our Real WW Talk Plus series, and we're so glad that you're joining us, especially if this is your first time. This is our opportunity. We're bringing in some additional voices who have expertise in areas that we don't. And so this week, we are so excited to have Sara from The Holy Mess join us because, first off, as I moosh my hair, if you're on the podcast, you missed it, which is great. First off, she always has the dish on the Weight Watchers updates and changes. And you've probably heard us talk about her before because any changes that have happened, we've just relayed them to you from her because she has the scoopage on it all. But a little bit about her. She's a 100-pound weight loss success story. Lost 100 pounds. She's a business owner. She's a content creator. She's a wife. She's a mom. And she says that after a lifetime of secret food obsessions, compulsive overeating and binging, that cycle of losing and regaining hundreds of pounds, she finally learned to fix what matters. I think we've all been there, haven't we? She has a really popular 3-day diet that has helped thousands of people break weight loss plateaus, get back track with healthy eating, and her meal plans even being featured twice in Women's World magazine. Yes, like at the grocery store checkout, the one that we always look at the front, but and then every now and then decide to put in the cart. Sara is also a pastor's wife. She's a mom to 5 kids through birth and special needs adoption. And she was a foster mom to 35 children. Amazing. Her business partner, Becky, together they run Faithful Finish Lines, which is an online weight loss program that's helped thousands of women achieve their goals. She's also a WW member, has a ton of WW resources like meal plans and food lists and recipes at her website, theholymess.com. And we're so excited to welcome Sara to Real WW Talk Plus.
Welcome, Sara.
I said I was fangirling a little bit, that I get to meet you. It is truly my privilege to get to be here.
Oh, we're fangirling here too. We're so excited because literally, like, we know when like October, November rolls around, we're like, well, what's Sara got up for news over on her blog, WW?
Oh, I know. And I will share. I'm always very open to share anything I know. Truthfully, I'm here with the rest of you. Like, Weight Watchers, are you going to tell us what's going on? Is there going to be a new plan? What's going to happen? Are we going to be green? Are we going to be purple? Is something totally different going to happen? Is there going to be a quiz? So I know, I totally hear you.
But I love that because it comes from us from a place of like, one, we're just, I feel like we're all on the same page where we're slightly nosy. We want to know what's going on. And we are women who are going to get to the bottom of something. Nobody can hide anything from us.
That's right. That's right. And I understand, Weight Watchers needs to roll things out, carefully and make sure they're communicating. But also for those of us who follow Weight Watchers, this is a huge change and it's stressful. It can give us some anxiety because it's like, this is how I track. This is, wait, what? My popcorn was free and now I have to count points. Like, this is a really big deal.
Changes routines.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, Sara, one of the reasons that you are here is because, one, you've got the scoopage, and we're just so excited to have you in with us for that. And we just admire you so much. You have been really successful as a lifetime member. And that is not something that I have. I mean, I'm a lifetime member of WW, but not because I've kept the weight off.
Same here.
I hear you. Yes, it is. It's such a journey, isn't it? It is such a journey. So one of the things that I had done meetings and not meetings. I think a lot of us have done this over the years. First of all, I was on Weight Watchers off, and I had done meetings. And then the final time that I did it, I actually did it online only. I was going to therapy and then, just really using it online on my own. And I didn't realize, but you can't become lifetime with, or at least not a free version with an online only membership. So that was new to me. So I actually started going back to meetings when I had just a little bit of weight left to lose, which is one tip that I would give to people that I just didn't know. And then the other thing that was really interesting was, well, first of all, I was expecting to get a bunch of, maybe not a bunch, but like a little booklet or something of information when I got to my goal weight, and there wasn't anything. I weighed in, and I remember asking the leader, like, well, okay, now what? And she's like, well, your app will adjust. You're going to get like 5 more, points a day. And I was like, okay, but like, what do I do? And she's like, well, we just need to worry about your 6-week window, because you have this 6-week window where you're supposed to maintain. And I believe it's within 2 pounds, and you can't gain or lose more than that during that 6-week window. So you can't continue to lose weight during that 6 weeks. So that was a bit of a mind trip for me, because all of a sudden I was trying to not lose weight after years of losing weight. And I know it sounds like, okay, what's the big deal? But it was emotionally hard. So that was interesting. And there wasn't anything. There is not really specific information in Weight Watchers for maintenance. And so, a little longer I've been maintaining the majority of my weight loss for almost 20 years now. I've learned along the way, and I've met other people. There are some little, like pockets of groups where they get together, or they have, this group that meets. But it can feel a little bit like a lonely road and a little bit of a mind trip. Like, wait, I'm not supposed to be losing weight anymore. This is what I've been focused on for so long. So it is definitely an adjustment for sure.
What were some of the things? Yeah, because now when I think about it, I mean, Rikki and I have been both doing this journey pretty much about the same time. I mean, we've had different variations of when we started, but like our continuous journey has pretty much been aligned together. And I've never really thought about that mental shift to go from continuous weight loss mode. And in some ways, like, it feels like continuous weight loss mode is always, you're finding fault with yourself in some way. Like, I've always got to be doing something to lose weight. What does it look like? And what did you say to yourself? What did you do to get yourself in that space? And did you have fear that you would gain the weight back by adding in like those extra points?
Yep. Oh yeah. Everything you said. So fear, yes. Anxiety, yes. Kind of mind trip. Yes. I can tell you what I did and then what I've learned since then, because I'm not sure what I did was so good, but I really leaned heavily into exercise. And again, keep in mind, this was 20 years ago. So this was the whole like Biggest Loser era. Like, that show was huge. Yeah. So we all were being taught that the way to lose weight and the way to maintain weight was to have this, skinny, fit bod trainer yell at you and exercise for hours and hours and hours at a time.
Basically development exercise.
Does not work. Does not work for weight loss. There's some benefit for maintenance, but even that, it's all about diet. It is all about diet. So I leaned really heavily into exercise. I started walking, then I say running, I mean like walking, jogging. There's no like fast running in this body going to happen. But I ended up doing like 5Ks, and then I even did triathlons. And it was really great for me in the sense of shifting from the goal of the scale to a different goal. So that was really, really helpful for me. And I learned a lot about myself and my body during that time. I'd always been like, I've been overweight my whole life. I was the fat girl picked last in gym class. I never was the fit one. And so there were a lot of things I needed to learn, like the difference between being uncomfortable and being in pain to the point like, oh, this is going to cause an injury that's going to put me back for 6 months. I didn't really understand those things. So I hurt myself a bunch of times and, made a lot of mistakes. it was really hard to maintain my weight with that type of exercise, because it gets really quite complicated, because then you do need to eat some more calories for what you're burning, but you don't want to eat too many. So now actually I'm a lot smarter. I certainly exercise, but a lot less than I did in that season. And that is actually what I would recommend. The other thing I've since learned is that it can be really helpful to take some breaks during your weight loss to practice maintaining, but I never did that. I wish I would have. I was
girl, I've done it all day.
I've taken a lot of not intentional breaks, which is so that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about intentionally making a decision, like my goal is to maintain in the month of December, for example, for the holidays. I never did that. I was all on or all off. I'm a very black and white, cold turkey kind of person, which can do me well with certain things, but not so well with a lot of other things, like being a moderate person. So that's something I wish I would have done during my weight loss, and I didn't. Just to intentionally, like, what if the next few weeks I've got a lot going on? My goal was to maintain the weight I'm at now, because what I would do is, if I wasn't tracking, it was ugly. I mean, really, it was like eating all the things, the whole, like, I'll start over again on fill in the blank, and then it was like, oh, well, I got to get it all in now, because this is my last chance, the last meal, the great hurrah, the Mardi Gras, eating. So I didn't practice moderation, and that is something that I would recommend to other people. That is really a mistake that I made. It would have done me so well to learn moderation much earlier. I think another thing along with that too is learning how to incorporate treats. And honestly, like junk food, fast food, eating out, again, it tended to be all or nothing. I was being the good Weight Watchers girl and having the perfect points, or I was off the wagon, not counting, not tracking, pretending it wasn't that bad. I've got my weekly points that I haven't used yet, which is probably like, this much of what I actually ate. So again, like practicing some of that moderation would have helped me a lot. And those are the things that now I've had to learn during maintenance, because I didn't learn them while I was losing weight.
Yeah. Something that we've talked about was, if we add up all of the weekends, all of the holidays, and all of our vacations, and we plan to go off plan during those times, then we're off plan a third of the year. And so we're seeing the success that we want. It could be because we're only putting in 2/3. We're giving ourselves excuses for a third of the year, and then that doesn't count all the times during the week that we overextend ourselves, or all the things that you're talking about.
That is such a good point, because I've thought of it like by the week, because what a pattern I had was, I was, again, good Weight Watchers girl, like Monday through Thursday. Friday was a little iffy, because, we'd get our pizza and stuff, but I was still a little on there, and then forget it. Like Saturday is the donuts and the errands and the eating out and the wine, and the Sunday is, well, I might as well just continue, because I did all of that on Saturday, start over on Monday, and recognizing that that is a big part of the week. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, now we're up to like a third of the week, but the way you describe it of the whole year, that is so true. And I think also that denial, like we tend to kind of be like, oh, just like, no, don't want to know, don't really want to know what I ate. We'll just start over on Monday, fresh start. Sounds really good to say have a fresh start, but when we're not honestly looking, then it feels like, what's wrong with my body? It's obviously my metabolism. It's obviously genetics. It's obviously hormones, because look how good I was. We're just looking at those days that we're being good. We're ignoring when we're off track, or denying the reality of it. So yeah, so true.
Yeah. So I'm curious, we learned so much about your family life and having such a big family and such an amazing impact on your community with, being a foster parent. So how did you balance that I'm sure there were, joyous moments, but also stressful moments and feeding a family and all those things. How did you balance that while also losing the weight and being on
Yeah,
plan?
definitely. I thank you for your kind words. It has been truly our blessing to give back, but hard. I mean, really, really hard. I mean, emotionally, dealing with like court and all of those kinds of things, lots of up and downs, kids with really very, very difficult and extreme behaviors. So it sounds nice, like, oh, you're foster parents, but the reality is more like, my kids swearing in the narthex right before church starts and, all that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of crazies. But yes, for the people who are listening to this or watching this and thinking, yeah, that's nice for them, but you don't know how crazy my life is. I get it. I hear you, friend. We are there with you. I so get it. So for me, a big part of it was I had to, this is the word I use, I had to get selfish. I mean, it's not really selfish, but it's self-care. I have heard you talk about that on this podcast a lot. And I think it is such a great topic. I'm so glad that you do, because I was very much a giver when I was at my heaviest, which was well over 250 pounds. I was overgiving, almost like that was kind of my way of compensating for like, don't really see some of these other things about me, or I couldn't face those things. And so I just wanted to give and give and give, but I was giving to the point that I wasn't taking care of myself. I was ignoring myself, my health. And so a big part of that has been learning to take care of myself first. And then I have that in my cup that I can pour out to other people. We can't pour from an empty cup. So learning to take care of myself first. And sometimes that's like putting my feet up, when the kids are napping and reading a magazine. Sometimes that's going out and exercising, with a friend, and my husband is there to watch the kids. Sometimes it's saying no, like, no, I'm not going to volunteer at the kids' school. No, I'm not going to teach Sunday school. I mean, I think those are great things, but like, I need to do these things for myself first before I even think about doing some of those other volunteer activities or, other things that people want of me, because I almost look at it now like almost like a drug. Like, I have to take care of myself. And this is my physical thing. Like, somebody else might need like blood pressure medicine or something. I need vegetables. Like, I have to have them prepared. I need to eat regularly throughout the day. I need to get enough sleep. Those are things that keep me healthy, is what it is. And so learning to look at those things as just as serious as if it was like a medication.
I really love how you've just phrased that, because I've never thought about it like that. I mean, we've talked about this before. WW has always used the plane and the oxygen mask thing. Put the oxygen on yourself first, and then then put it on others. But to classify it as, there are certain things that we take every day, a vitamin or medicine that keeps us healthy. Whatever your thing is, this is what keeps you healthy so that you can continue to pour out to others. I think that's a little bit of a revelation for me in the way that you phrase that.
Well, I'm glad it can help. But for me, we're all coming into this journey in different places. And so maybe some people aren't coming in with the food issues that I had, but I can just share of my own. And I was a binge eater. I was a compulsive eater. I was raised in a family where eating is what we did for fun. We didn't go camping. We didn't go hiking. We didn't play soccer. We ate. Like, that was what we did. That was fun. We did our big grill outs. We went out to eat. We went to the movies and ate popcorn and candy. This is what our family did. And so, I mean, my food issues were this was pretty serious and pretty extreme. And thankfully I was young enough. I started losing weight when I was in my early 30s, the final time, that I hadn't had some of the extreme health issues, but they would have come. I mean, they absolutely would have come. And I will say too, especially since we're talking about maintenance, it's still hard. As much as I would love to say, oh, it's easy street now, I still have to work really hard at it. You know, my body, I believe, my natural tendency is I'm very like easily triggered by food. I'm very, very food sensitive, very aware, like, you know, the latest fast food double, triple burger with the barbecue and the onion rings. And I'm like, oh, look, it's calling my name. So just very aware of all of that, very much influenced by what other people are eating, what I smell that my teenager just cooked in the microwave. So I just have learned, like, these are things I have to put into my life to keep this health journey going, because it would just be so easy for me to slip back into former habits. Just very, very easy to do.
Mm-hmm. What does what does that look like for you? I'm thinking you've got 20 years of maintenance, which is just incredibly impressive. And, I think some of the data that I've seen is that most people, if they do lose weight, they will regain some, if not all of it, within about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so, you have by far eclipsed that. But what has it taken for you? Because I was thinking, like, when you're in the weight loss mode, right, every week you've got a new goal to hit towards. So what are maybe some of the different goals that you've put in place for yourself or for somebody who's just new to Lifetime? Because we always talk about motivation, the mysterious motivation. I'll do it when I have the motivation. Now you're at, what is the motivation? And does at this stage, and I think it should at that stage, even as we're losing weight, that discipline and consistency needs to override. We need to make discipline and consistency sexy. Right.
Well, I know. And the way you said it, like you were just kind of hinting at it, but it was so wise, because you're like, oh, that motivation, because we can't rely on motivation. It's going to come and go. It waxes and wanes for me. And I'm sure just like everybody else, it's not like I wake up every morning like, oh, egg whites. Yay. I just want to eat you today. I don't want the donuts anymore. Not the way it happens. So you're right. We have to change our motivation, because what about when we don't continue to see the scale go down? The clothes aren't changing. The compliments end. I moved to a new state, and no one here, except for my husband, knew me at my heaviest. And so another mind trip, because they've seen pictures and stuff, like they know about my website and everything, but they wouldn't even have any reason to compliment me. Like they've never seen me as anything different than I am now, which it's weird, isn't it? Like it would be good, but they also don't care. So they're not going to say like, wow, Sara, you're just amazing that you've done this. They're just like, hey, Sara, I know you, whatever, moving on, So it does have to become internal. And, I think, well, first of all, as a Christian, I give God the glory. I could not have done this on my own. This is far beyond what I could have done. Therapy was a big part of my process. I needed to learn to not use food to manage my emotions. And for most of my life, I turned to food. And I used food as a buffer, as a cover, as a way to soothe. And so it's not that I wasn't feeling my emotions. I felt sad and happy and angry, but I so quickly would run to food that it was like, well, I would just feel it just for a few seconds and then I could get to the chocolate. And so I wasn't really feeling everything. And going to therapy and learning to manage this and face up to some really hard things about myself and my family and my past and things like that was hard, but was for me personally huge, because that gave me the strength to recognize that it's not so bad. No emotion has ever killed you. You're going to feel it. It's not going to feel good, but it's going to be fine. Like most emotions just kind of flow through you. They don't last that long. You can live without like going to the chocolate. And what I discovered that has certainly been a motivator is that I was buffering over all of the good feelings too. So it's almost like we took off this layer and now I feel everything more deeply. I cry more, but I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot more excited. I'm a lot more enthusiastic. I'm like getting out there and doing things. I'm like, heck yeah, let's go do that. And I've got confidence and like, I'm not afraid to go and meet people and go to parties and, you know, just all of these things that are just so rich and exciting and fun. And so the hard is harder, but the fun and exciting is so much better that is definitely motivating and definitely makes it more worth it.
That's amazing. I'm curious. I mean, all of those things are just such inspiration for anyone who's looking forward to being lifetime, knowing that it's challenging, but there's such a big reward if you process those feelings and process the reason behind it. Because I think there's a reason why myself, why Erin, you know, Candice even has been in this journey for a long time. It's not just because we don't know calories in, calories out.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I hear you. Like we all can tell you how many points are in the sugar-free pudding. We know all the 0-point foods. We know the hacks, you know, I hear you.
Yeah. So it's amazing to know how important that emotional work is and therapy, because I think people are becoming more open about sharing that they go to therapy. Thank you for being so open about that, because I think it's just a step in the direction that so many of us need to do that work. But I'm curious.
I agree. And I think too, I applaud in like our country. I think especially since the pandemic, we're starting to be more aware of mental health issues. We're starting to be more open, destigmatized, which I think is great. And I think all of us are getting a little better at it, of feeling our feelings and expressing our emotions, not being so scared of it. I mean, we weren't taught this in school. I wasn't taught this in school anyway. And I wish I was. Like, this is the practical stuff I needed. I really didn't need like pre-calculus, but I needed to know how to feel my feelings. But it's getting better. Like my kids learn that stuff in school. Like we talk about feelings. My parents never talked to me about my feelings. It was like, sit down, be quiet. Your dad is trying to have his dinner. And so I think we're getting there as a society. And that is very encouraging to me, for sure, that we can be a lot more open about all of this.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you still track as a lifetime member? Because I've heard WW say that the goal is for you to get to a place where you so have the habits ingrained in you that you actually don't need to track anymore.
Yeah, so I do track every day. Like I've probably tracked, well, I don't know. I've tracked most of the days that I've been maintaining. I want to say too, the other thing that's been helpful for me to understand is maintenance is an up and down. And for me, that has not even always been in my window. Like that's even been like when we moved or we went through a trauma, like maybe I gained like 10 or 15 or 20 pounds, then got it back down. Then there's been a journey. But even when I am within my range, it looks like this, just like everybody else's does when you're losing. It doesn't go like that. Like we all want it to go straight down for the podcast listeners. We just want it to go straight down, arrow down. And that's not how it works. I've not met anyone whose weight loss journey is like that. And maintenance is the same thing. It's up and it's down. And you kind of have this top range where you're like, people call it different things, but you know, like your, oh my goodness, weight, or you're okay, Sara, come to Jesus, you know, time to change. So I definitely have that. But what I was going to say is that I do still track. My business partner, Becky, with Faithful Finish Lines, who's also lost 100 pounds, does not track at all. And so I think that we're all different, and like just personality, genetic differences, variations. Like I said, I think I'm pretty genetically sensitive. And when you look at like my history of binge eating and things like that, I think I do need to be more careful. Her maintenance has been a lot smoother road, generally speaking. Not that she's not very careful, but it's just been a little bit easier for her. Whereas for me, I've just had to be a lot more intentional. So I think it's different for every person. And I also think for some of us, I think it just feels safer to track. And that's okay. Like I think I probably at this point could maintain with like a mindful eating without tracking, or at least like a lot of the time. But it just is like my safety net of like, nope, that's my boundaries. I'm okay. I'm good. And I do flip back and forth now between tracking with Weight Watchers points and tracking with calories on like MyFitnessPal, because I think there's something to learn from both of those. And so I tend to go, I don't do both at the same time. I think that's a little much to double track, but I'll do like 4 or 5 months on one, then I'll switch to another, then I go back. And I've seen real benefit from that because both have taught me different things.
Okay, so for people who, because we have people who do WW and people who don't do WW, what have you learned between the two apps?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So the 0 point foods are big because, and I love them. I mean, that is probably why I joined, how I initially lost the weight, that I could lean into those suckers. Like, give me all the free food. I mean, and I know we're not supposed to call it free. It's not really free. And that's the point, right? Like, I think tracking calories can be beneficial for that. Like, oh, if I eat 4 cups of watermelon, which is what I did yesterday, that's like 200, 250 calories. That's not nothing, especially when you're at your goal weight. That's kind of a big chunk of my day. Whereas with WW, I'd just be like, 0, didn't even hardly count. It was just watermelon. It was just watermelon. So that's definitely beneficial. But interestingly, the other thing that I've learned from tracking calories is it's more doable to get in some of the treat foods, which I think is important for that moderation. It's really hard to eat treats on Weight Watchers, because if you go and, whether it's like a fast food meal or a restaurant meal or like kind of a more, juicy big dessert, like a blizzard, what is it, like 20 to 40 points or something for a DQ blizzard? Like, that's all of today and tomorrow. Like, how the heck am I going to fit that in?
I know. Candice loves nothing, and Rikki, you do too, the nothing bunk cakes. And I think Candice said that like was it the minis, Rikki? Or like
I think 30? It's the buntlets.
That's it. The button, they're like 34 or 36
right?
points.
Okay. All right. Yeah, crumble cookies, like a quarter of a cookie. I'm like, okay, quarter of a cookie is a couple bites. That's not a serving. So, but with calories, you can do that, because even if it's a big chunk, even if it's 500 or 600 calories, if you're having 600 calories or 1600 or 1800 in the day, you could have 600 calories. So it is doable. So that is one, I like how Weight Watchers does it. It's pushing us to those healthier foods, which is good. Those are more filling. Those are satisfying. Those are lowering calorie density. That's all really good. But I also feel like it shouldn't be so restrictive that you feel like you can't ever eat treats, because that's not going to work long term. Not in this life, not in Sarah's life. Sarah wants to be able to eat a piece of wedding cake when I go to a wedding. I want a piece of birthday cake when it's my birthday. And so that's where I found that it's I think a little more accurate counting calories to see where you can fit those treats in.
Okay. So I'm curious too, talking about the basics and things, talking about tracking. In addition to that, I know a lot of people really depend on meetings. And I know you shared before that, you weren't a meeting person, and then you kind of had to go towards the end, of your weight loss journey going into maintenance. So how has that changed? Are you still doing meetings, and how do you feel about them?
Oh, I know. My heart goes out to so many Weight Watchers members who are like, my meeting closed. There's the closest meeting is an hour away, or it's, it used to be 5 times a week and now it's once a week and it's when I work. And so I hear you. I feel you. I know that it has been difficult. I think it's helpful to look at what were you getting out of the meeting and can you find that somewhere else? So I think for some people, it's the accountability. Like I need somebody to see my weight, even if it's just that one person. And I get it. I mean, if my weigh-in was Monday morning, and I'm not going to meetings right now, by the way, if my weigh-in was Monday morning, yeah, Sunday was going to be different, that because I knew I was going to weigh in, it does make a difference. I get it. But then if there is no meeting available for you, okay, how can you get that same accountability? And there's multiple ways. Maybe it's, a close friend that you feel comfortable sharing with, that you're going to just text her a picture of the scale, or your spouse, if you guys have that kind of relationship, or I don't know, your doctor or a dietitian or something. There's some way that you can build in that accountability. If it's the community aspect, can you do that with online meetings? Can you do that with Facebook groups like your group, my groups? Is there something like that? So I think teasing out a little bit, what was it? I've talked to different members who really, it was just their group of friends. And now their group of friends has started getting together once a week or once a month for coffee because it was just the community. So kind of teasing out a little bit, what were you getting out of it and how can you meet that need for yourself some other way? And it is unfortunate, but I also understand that Weight Watchers is a business just like all other businesses. And I think they're just having to make some of those tough decisions right now as things are changing. And so I get it.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough economy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the part.
I know, I do sometimes see different people and they email it to me too. We get lots and lots of emails, who are just so angry with Weight Watchers and so mad at Oprah and so mad at the CEO. And, I just think it's, first of all, don't give your power away. Don't give your power away to Weight Watchers, because at the end of the day, it's on you. You're the only one putting the food in your mouth. No one's forcing you. So there's that. And then there's also, I think just recognizing they are a business doing the best they can. They are not out to hurt you. They are, you're the lifeblood. If there weren't you, there would be no Weight Watchers. So they're not trying to do something intentionally against us. They're just making some really tough decisions right now to stay afloat. I don't know their numbers, but I would assume so. So I think they're just doing the best they can.
Well, and you kind of think about too, like how much culture has shifted around the conversation of weight loss and weight management, even to your point, like the past 20 years. 20 years ago, we were looking at Biggest Loser, and it was, this high intensity exercise where they never even talked about the nutrition. It was almost like we created an exercise disorder, right? And so everybody was like, we got to work out. Rikki and I did some wild workouts together.
Oh, I know. And there is some really interesting information out there of some of who was driving all of the crazy exercise stuff was the food industry.
Yes.
And I'm just like, this is blowing my mind. But it was because then they could say, well, it's not the food. It's not because some of it I think was Coca-Cola. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think it was. So they could say well, it's not this drink that's full of high fructose corn syrup. It's because you're not exercising enough. You just need to go burn those calories off. So go, run a marathon. The Coke is fine. And now we're looking at some of that like, interesting. I don't think that's accurate.
Well, and we're learning more science about the effect that obesity when you're a child and you're obese versus an adult when you're obese, and those create different things within the body. And so maybe what we're learning is that when you're an adult who is obese and you were also a child who is obese, your body doesn't respond to the same calories in and calories out because of insulin and insulin resistance, as opposed to somebody who didn't have that as a child, but maybe gained it through childbirth, or, maybe was an athlete and then suddenly had an injury and gained weight. Like, we're just learning more and more about the mechanics of weight. and obesity. And so I do applaud Weight Watchers for constantly looking at the science and trying to figure these things out and adapt and change while still trying to be true to who they are and were and look at what the future is.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think they're on a journey that I'm not even sure they exactly
They don't even
know.
know.
You know, like with the latest, you know, like Oprah discussion panel that they had. You know, I applaud them for, you know, we've got to end body shaming. Like absolutely, absolutely. But then it was also like this interesting, like, okay, but are you a weight loss company? Are you not? But, you know, I feel like they're sort of in this, they're trying to tease it all out and figure themselves out. Like, look, let's just call it like it is. Weight Watchers is for weight loss. It's okay. We say that. It's really fine.
Yeah. They had to acknowledge a lot of the past mistakes and apologize for them. But I mean, I think the same thing goes with, you know, as a teacher, you don't expect your kids to be 100% accurate all the time. You know, we're all human, including them. As a business, it doesn't make them also ones who should get everything right all the time. So I think you're right. There is some grace there that they have been changing as they've learned. They've been evolving, and that's okay.
Yeah. And this is continuing to evolve, and it's challenging for those of us. I feel like for those of us in culture right now, it's exciting to see where things might go. And, you know, we can't leave off the conversation, GLP-1s, how that is having a huge, huge shift. And, you know, I think most of us have beat ourselves up desperately over the years, greatly over the years for our eating. I know I mean, if beating myself up worked, I would have been thin a long time ago because I beat myself up about it. And now you look at, for some people, not for everyone, but for some, this medication really just takes away a lot of that desire, that urge. And so it just shifts the whole conversation of like, oh, well, wait, like, how can this even be like a moral or ethical thing if one medication can change it so drastically? So, yeah, again, I think we're just seeing a huge shift, and I'm not sure where exactly we're going to land, but it's definitely changing things in the conversation for sure.
So, Sara, we've said before that while, I mean, we're real WW talk, and that's because the three of us are on WW, we welcome everybody on, no matter what type of weight loss plan they're on or not on. They just want to get healthier. And so I just wanted to give you just some opportunity to talk about your 3-day plan that you have and your website. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh, thank you so much. Yep. Come to the Holy Mess. It's theholymess.com. So I have recipes, meal plans, just like stuff about Weight Watchers. You know, if I have any updates, I'll share them, my own life story. So, you know, there's things like there's articles on there like how to stop overeating at night, how to stop overeating on the weekends, what if I binge eat? So all that kind of stuff. The most popular is the Holy Mess 3-day diet, and it's a 3-day meal plan. And I actually have never shared this publicly. I'm going to share this little tidbit with you. The way I created this meal plan, I know, is I was on Pinterest and I saw there was a post on there, and it was like, what happened when I ate all 0 points for 7 days? And I saw that and I thought, that is stupid. Like, that is ridiculous. There is absolutely no reason why.
I'm like, that's genius. Why have I never done that?
Well, and I thought that's stupid. Like, why would you eat all 0 point foods? And I thought that would be super unhealthy because like there's hardly any fat. Like, I just had all these ideas in my mind. And then I kind of started like you. I was like, well, what would happen if I ate all 0 point foods? I thought, well, could I do it for one day? And I was like, oh yeah, I could totally do it for one day. So I ended up putting together this 3-day plan of all 0 points. And it's actually quite healthy. Like, there is a good amount, like there's a healthy balance of carbs and protein and fat. It's plenty of calories. You don't have to, because you can eat, you know. And so, I put it on my website. It was relatively popular. It was a 3-day Weight Watchers 0 point plan. It's still on there. And an editor from Women's World magazine contacted me, and she started asking me all these questions about it. She's like, we are interested in maybe featuring this, but we want to know, like, what are the statistics? Like, how much weight do people lose? How do they stick to it? Do they like the recipes? I was like, I don't know. I don't really even know.
Make the cover. Lose 10 pounds.
Right.
10 pounds in 3 days.
Oh, right. I know. So what we ended up doing was I offered to put together a test group because I was like, honestly, I don't know, but I'll test it. So I've got a pretty big, following and email list and stuff. And so I just put a thing out there. You guys want to test this 3-day plan with me? They did. It was a resounding success. Like I had no idea. I had no idea. Like it had been sitting on my website. And so we took some statistics of it and sent it back to Women's World. Oh, and all the women were over the age of 40 because that was their request, because their audience is women 40 to 70 years old. And so to be able to say, here's a 3-day plan that women over the age of 40 followed, they weren't hungry, they were really satisfied, and they lost a bunch of weight. Heck yeah, and so ever since then, it's just exploded. It was featured in the magazine. Then a couple years later, I wrote a plant-based 3-day diet. So now you can do the regular plant-based. And it was featured. That one was featured. So it's been awesome. If you come to theholymess.com, you'll see it right away. So as a Weight Watchers person, you'll know behind the scenes, it's not totally 0 points now because the plan has changed several times, but it's pretty much 0 point foods. So you'll know, when you look at it, you'll be like, oh, that's the 0 point food list. That's how Sara did it. That's all Sara did. I just based it on the 0 point foods. But those are great, healthy foods that we all need to eat more of. And so there's nothing special about it. There's nothing magical about it. It's just those good, whole, fresh foods that we all need to eat more of. And I just put them together into a 3-day plan. That's all that it is, but it's great. And it's for free. Just you can go and just download it.
It's funny. I'm thinking, okay, 0 point. If I was to build a meal around 0 points, we've got chicken, we've got turkey, we've got salmon, salmon.
Shrimp, tofu. Yeah. And that's really what it is. So the breakfasts are scrambled eggs with salsa, and you could do a vegetable stir fry type of thing, or, vegetables. And then the lunches, they're different, but one is a 0 point chili. That's the ground turkey and the beans and all that stuff. And then dinner, is a salmon and, roasted vegetables. And then there's snacks in there because there's a lot you can do. Now it's cottage cheese or, the non-fat Greek yogurt with fruit. And so, it's really quite doable. And it can be a great plateau buster or just a get back on track, if you've just kind of, well, we all know I've been talking about it this whole time, the weekends or the holidays or after a vacation where you just kind of need a reset. It's really nice. And what's nice about it is I have everything done. So there's a shopping list, the recipes are there, the plan is there. And sometimes we just really don't want to think about it. Just tell me what to eat. I totally get it.
Yeah, I love that.
That's one of the great things about WW is the flexibility, but also if you're new to the program or you've been doing it for a while, you're like, somebody just tell me what to eat.
Right. I know. So I have quite a few. Some of them have a cost, but most of the meal plans on my website are free because I get it. It feels really overwhelming when you start, especially the whole points concept. And then there's wait, what are flex points? What are weekly points? There's just a lot. And so having something structured to get you started can be really helpful for sure.
Awesome. Sara, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing what it means to be a WW member at Lifetime and offering these incredible resources. We will make sure to link them in the show notes. If you're like, Erin, what are the show notes? That's just the description of the episode. So you'll find all the links and everything you need in there. We'll also, of course, link up to how you can find Sara and her website and just get a hold of all of these awesome resources. All right. That's
This
it.
is really fun. I could have come and talked to you for hours and hours more. I feel like we're just getting started. So thank you so
I
much.
love it. We're going to have to do this again because
Yeah,
this is
totally. Yeah. Like I said, I'm fangirling because I go out for my walks. I try to go out for a walk every day, and got you guys in my headphones. I'm listening. So
Love it.
awesome. Well, thank you for being part of Real WW Plus, Sarah. We're so grateful. And we're going to make sure that we send the Real WW Talk community over to your community and get you introduced to some more folks. So excited. All right. Well, we wish you a great week on plan, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.